The minister referred to, and you all know, of course, about the Water for Life law and strategy in Alberta. I don't know if you are aware that the Water for Life is the name of the United Nations decade that we are currently in the middle of. So maybe we copied Alberta. I don't know. This morning I'm going to talk first about the current state of water resources in the world. I'm actually going to spend more time on that than on any of the other points that are on, but I will go from there to a vision for the sustainable management of water in the world. The issues that are coming up today, as I see them. I'll tell you a bit about some of the projects that have just been mentioned that I'm currently working on. Then I'd like to turn briefly to what your role could be in managing not just water problems in Alberta, but global water problems. Water in the Changing World is the name of the third World Water Development Report, which was issued exactly 1 year ago in Istanbul at the World Water Forum. I was the coordinator for the writing of this report. Since it's only a year old, it really is pretty much up to date on most of the facts, because as we finalized it, getting ready to go to the editor, we tried to put in the latest information. So I'm going to try to show you some of that. The report started out by noting that the news media then were full of talk about crises, about climate crises, yes, but the energy crisis, food crisis, troubled financial markets, and that these crises unresolved could lead to conflict and political insecurity. But these crises all have something else in common. They're all linked to water. Previous speakers have made that point. Water touches every aspect of our lives. For example, the energy crisis. For many people, it led to a reaction, let's grow our food, biofuels. But they didn't stop to think. They didn't stop to think about the land that it was going to take to do it, the water that it was going to take to do it, and the impact on food prices. It just not recognized that these crises are some way linked to water. Well, too fast. The energy, for example, which this province you think about a lot. According to the International Energy Agency, we're going to need 60% more energy by 2030, not far away, than was needed in 2002, the year that they were using for their comparison year. Food prices. In the spring of 2008, food prices around the world went up to a multiple of their prices. What caused it? Well, it could have been rising demand from increasing population, but that's a steady thing. Could be the impact of droughts in the world that made less food available. It could have been the cost of agricultural inputs. Fertilizers and other inputs require a lot of energy to produce them, so their prices to the farmers went up as the price of energy went up. It could have been the impact of biofuels, which was just beginning to be felt then. And we don't know what was the impact of the financial crisis, but we're starting to see an impact of the financial crisis and development in the world today. Climate change. You know, climate variability is not something new. Climate variability has been with us since the creation of the planet. But we've never managed it properly, even up until now. And if I just take an example, in Ethiopia, over a 12-year period, they have lost 38% of their GDP because of climate variability that's not managed through managing water. And this increased poverty by 25%. So we haven't been doing well even up until now. The spending on infrastructure, I mentioned the financial crisis, is often cut when you get into a financial crisis. But Justin Lind, the chief economist of the World Bank, has said that aggressive government spending worldwide on infrastructure and other public projects is likely to be more effective than tax cuts in supporting global economic growth. Given the importance of water to development, one would think that investment in water is going to be a priority for all governments. What will happen if we don't start to respond to these issues and don't recognize the importance of water? Ban Ki-moon, the Secretary General, said already in 2008, 10 years ago, even 5 years ago, few people paid much attention to the arid regions of Western Sudan. Not many noticed when fighting broke out between the farmers and the herders after they entered a period of drought. Now you can change the name of the country. It's a sad story, but the same things are happening in Somalia, in Chad, in Israel, in the Palestinian territories, in Nigeria, your neighbor, in Sri Lanka, Colombia, Kazakhstan, and today we look at Haiti and we want to cry. All of these places are places where shortage of water contributes to poverty. Competition for water threatens the world population everywhere. By 2030, we estimate that 47% of the world's population will live in high water stress areas. The increasing demand for water threatens ecosystems. On this map, the red areas are the ones that are going to be where the rate of increase of water stress is increasing the most. If you look at this, you'll see that these are the same areas, of course, where population is continuing to grow, but they're also the areas where most of the world's poorest live. They are the ones who are going to suffer the most in these countries. They're not only natural forces that are at work. Increasingly, it's human activities that are the primary drivers of pressures on our planet's water systems. Our requirements for water to meet our fundamental needs and our collective pursuit of higher living standards, coupled with the need for water to protect our fragile ecosystems, make this a unique challenge. And we looked at a number of drivers. One of them that I find very important is the rising living standards. We see how much water we're using ourselves now compared to other countries in the world. I've seen a map that shows that if you, I guess some of you have too on Google and other places, if you make the size of the continent equal to the amount of water that it consumes, Canada and the US becomes a great big elephant, and Africa becomes like a pencil.